Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this concert of classical music as part of our One Book, One Synagogue Shabbaton on the theme, or the themes of And After the Fire, a historical novel by Lauren Belfer. This year's One Book, One Synagogue selection, And After the Fire, centers around a music manuscript written by Johann Sebastian Bach. The narrative spans 2.5 centuries, with the earliest scene taking place in 1776. In that scene, the main historical character, Sarah Itzig, is receiving a music lesson from Wilhelm Friedemann Bach, the famous composer's son. Sarah would grow up to become one of the most prominent Jewish women of her day. True to her background and her social class, she regularly hosted concerts in her home in Berlin. These salon gatherings were one of the few social settings where Jews and Christians could interact, attracted by the opportunity to hear some of the greatest names of the day. Sarah was great aunt to two talented and accomplished composers, Fanny Mendelssohn Hensel and her younger brother, Felix Mendelssohn Bartholdy, who both converted to Christianity as children. The relationship between these siblings was complicated. For years, Felix convinced Fanny not to publish her compositions, despite encouragement to do so from her mother Leah and her great-aunt Sarah. But Felix prevailed for a long time, suppressing some of Fanny's work and even publishing some of her compositions under his name. Today, as part of our One Book, One Synagogue Shabbaton, we welcome you into the sanctuary as we recreate the salon of Sarah Itzig Levy. It is a pleasure to have Tom Mustachio on the bima today as he brings some of the work of these composers to life. Our concert will be framed by pieces by the master, Johann Sebastian Bach. We will also hear a piece by Beethoven, who, according to the book, was a performer in Sarah Levy's salon in 1796, and by Felix Mendelssohn. And in an act of tikkun, of correcting the historical record, we will hear a piece by Fanny Mendelssohn Hensel, which was published posthumously in her name. We won't necessarily hear specific pieces that are mentioned in the book, because most of them were written to include flute, oboe, or harpsichord. But we will hear the kind of music that would have brought people to these concerts. Tom Mustachio is a familiar figure to everyone at Temple Emeth, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you know the talent he brings to our bima. So I'd like to tell you a little bit about his background. Before coming to Temple Emeth in 2020, Thomas Mustachio served Temple Beth Or from 2009 to 2019. He has been minister of music at Glen Ridge Congregational Church since January 2009. There he leads a graded choral program, serves as organist, and conducts the Glen Ridge Choral Society in several concerts each year. As well as having a roster of private music students in New Jersey, Mr. Mustachio is also active as an accompanist and coach in New York City. One of his favorite opportunities was to partner with the Rodgers and Hammerstein Organization of New York to create the score, vocal arrangements, dance arrangements, and orchestrations for the new stage version of Irving Berlin's Easter Parade. 3 of this afternoon's 8 pieces will include the talent of virtuoso violinist Bela Horvath. Hungarian-born, he began playing violin at the age of 3 and showed outstanding talent as a young child. He entered the Bela Bartok Conservatory in 1996, and the next year he won the national Janos Konich violin competition. In 2000, he entered the Franz Liszt University of Music. Since then, he has played with some of the greatest names in violin music, and when his friend Tom asked him if he would join us today, he graciously said yes. We will hear Mr. Horvath later in the concert. At this time, to celebrate the music of And After the Fire, it is my pleasure to introduce Thomas Mustachio.
Thank you, Rabbi. We're going to begin the program with 3 pieces by Johann Sebastian Bach, an invention in D minor from his book of Inventions and Sinfonia, the prelude movement to the prelude in C minor from the Well-Tempered Clavier, Book 2, and either of these pieces you may have heard in one of Sarah Levy's salons. And then the third piece is going to be the Adagio, first movement of the violin sonata in E major, and I'll be joined by my friend Bella for that. So 3 pieces of Bach. And I'm using the pretend harpsichord stop on this digital keyboard so you can get the feel. And that's why I like to have Bella join me in concerts. The level just is elevated. Next, we're going to hear a first movement of a Beethoven sonata that is actually mentioned that he performed at Sarah's, one of her concerts, one of her soirees, and it actually mentions Opus 2. He's going to be debuting or performing his Opus 2 sonatas. So I'd like to, Opus 2, number 1, the F minor sonata by Beethoven, the Allegro first movement. Thank you. And next on the program, we're going to do a Mendelssohn sandwich. We're going to do 2 songs without words by Felix Mendelssohn, and in between that, a piece by Fanny Hensel. The first of these pieces is by Felix Mendelssohn, and it's entitled Sweet Remembrance. The second piece by Fanny is called Pastorella, and the third is Song Without Words by Felix Mendelssohn. The first piece is also, although it's called Sweet Remembrance, it is also part of the Song Without Words collection that Mendelssohn wrote so many songs without words. And the final piece on our program is from Bach's Cantata number 147, and a piece my teacher made me learn when I was kind of young, and she said, "Oh, this will be a stretch for you." And so it's funny, those things you learned when you were young, they stay with you forever.
Thank you so much to Tom Mustachio and Bella Horvath for that wonderful concert in celebration of the music of And After the Fire by Lauren Belfer. I just have a few concluding words. First of all, I wanted to mention that today's program, from the Torah study to the service to the lunch to this wonderful concert, really have been in at least the planning stages for over a year. It began when the Adult Education Committee, chaired by Linda Postganzer, decided that we wanted to recreate a program that had been facilitated by the Jewish Federation for many years. They called it One Book, One Community. We changed it to call it One Book, One Synagogue. We said we liked the idea, then we had to come up with a subcommittee to choose a book, and then we had to plan the programming for...
And the subcommittee was chaired by Terry Binder.
And the subcommittee was chaired by Terry Binder and included Marion Wolf and Judy Fox and you and me, right? And Sue Kirsch, terrific. And so that brought us to the Trachtenberg Lecture, to one of the sessions of stories from a Jewish perspective, to today, and we continue with the Biyachad breakfast on January 30th. I think that it has worked out nicely. I just wanted to say that. So thank you to everyone who has been involved in this. And in the spirit of thank yous, I want to take a moment to thank the volunteers in the live stream control booth who made sure that those of you on the internet could be part of this. This afternoon's volunteers are Amanda Eastman and Talia Serbu, so thank you to them. We were able to provide this with no charge to any of you. The lunch was covered by the Beth Am Special Programs Fund. Our musicians were paid for by the Adult Education Fund, so I hope that you will, perhaps in gratitude for what you've experienced today, contribute to those funds, but there's no obligation. It is the Temple's gift to you through those funds. So I wanted to mention that. And I wanted to thank all of you for coming. I think this is the largest non-high holiday crowd we've had at the Temple in 2 years. So it's wonderful to see all of you. And one last round of applause for our musicians today. Thank you so much. This concludes our One Book, One Synagogue Shabbaton. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.